Hello everyone. So today I'm gonna be talking about I've been preparing for a game jam, which is, for those who don't know, is like a sort of a competition where it depends which game jam. For mine, I've just signed up for the game jam of the company GameDev.tv, which is the company that I took the course from. So this is a game jam for students, and basically we have 10 days to post a game, and the theme is Last Stand. And I'm very excited about this because this is the first time ever since I chose the path of becoming a video game developer of actually creating my own game using the knowledge that I've managed to learn so far. So I have found a character online and I wanted to implement him into my game to be my main protagonist, and it was way more complicated than I have imagined, and I didn't quite understand but the process of importing an external model with animations into your game. So I'm gonna talk about when I acquired the main protagonist character, which I found on Sketchfab, which is called HoodBoy, Handpainted, Stylized by SomeDude, which is an amazing, he does very, very nice 3D modeling jobs. I've also considered using his other models, especially since I wanted the main character to be a woman in the beginning, and so I thought about going for this one, which is a very beautiful model, but I felt that it's a bit too sexy for the game, which I'm sure you can understand why. So back to business, back to the main protagonist, which is found here in SketchLab by SomeDude. I downloaded the model, the GLB file, and then I uploaded it actually to the online 3D viewer, which is really nice. And then once I uploaded to 3D viewer, I could actually remove some elements which I didn't like the gum that he has. And as you can see here, I can actually make it invisible and then export this using only the visible parts in object. And after you export it in object version, basically you receive a zip file. And this zip file I uploaded to Mixamo, which lets you then edit the character, edit the rig it. Based on the object file that it recognizes, you can rig your character and then use it for animations on Mixamo, which is an amazing thing. I think I'm gonna make a tutorial on this in my next video, or maybe 2 videos from now when I'm done making the game. Let me know if you're interested in that. So during the course, in every project that I made, basically the school, the instructor, supplied me with the models to use for the game, right? And this time I'm making my own game, and I didn't want to use models that are too easy to find. For example, some free models from the Unreal shop, Unreal Marketplace. So I decided that I'm gonna go online and just try to find free 3D models and then implement them into my game. And apparently this is not such an easy process. So this is CryptRaider, the second game that I've created in the course. And this is a very important mechanism that we have here. As you can see, we're using light to show the player the directions that he should pay attention to. And one of the most important things was learning how to make physics and a grabbing component to be able to grab an actor from the scene and then be able to make it activate something, such as this door here. So this is like a crypt dungeon escape kind of thing. And after making all of this halls, we had to make this room here. The player needs to pick up the statue, realize that they are locked, they cannot escape, they need to steal the statue, put it back, and now need to think of a way to steal the statue. I'm sure the ones who were sharp enough to see, there are things here which you unfortunately cannot pick up. I should have made them maybe possible to pick up, because they're kind of they're more how should I say it, visible. But what I wanted to do is make it more difficult and make you realize that this is actually possible to pick up, which is looks like it's part of the scene. And this is the thing that you need to bring inside the room. Take the statue, now the gate closes, you put this instead of the statue, and we can leave with our stolen statue, and that concludes this part of the course. So again, the most important subjects of this game were the grab component and also the trigger box that enables to trigger the contraptions. So this is basically the third game that I made on the project. It's called ToonTanks. As you can see, there are tanks and there are towers that are shooting at the tank. And what the tank can do is shoot back and destroy the towers. The project consisted of making the functionality of the tank mesh, of the tank pawn, and the turned pawns, and then applying also the sound effects and explosion effects, which were given by the instructor. Basically, this is the progress that I managed to achieve within 5 days of work. That's the map that I decided on for the first level. So after realizing that after 5 days of work, all I managed to create was the first level, which has a child's playroom setting. And after realizing this is all I managed to create after 5 days of work, I've decided that I'm going to cut my project very, very short, and I'm going to focus solely on this level and try to develop it the best I can. So these are the different animations I made for the character, which include jumping, running, and a landing. Also for slower landings. Yeah, so after 5 days of sweating and working about 8 hours a day, I've encountered many complications on the way, to be honest, because I'm trying to implement things I learned in previous projects, and I'm doing it a bit differently every time. So one of the most I guess it's kind of funny, difficult things that I've encountered after actually importing the character, it's lighting in the scene. It was very difficult to create, especially since I've chosen a scenario of a child's playroom, and the ceiling is very high and the lights have to be very strong and from afar, which made it very awkward to use the lighting in this kind of scene. Now, also filling up the scene so it looks lively and not empty like here, for example. It's another thing that I'm planning to do for the next few days. And I'm just gonna go and run through the level and maybe talk a little bit about I'm not sure what I have to talk about, to be honest, but I think it looks pretty cool. Oh shit, that's it for me, man. I'm done. I'm inside the block. Goodbye. Alright, so the game jam. The theme is Last Stand. After hearing the theme, basically I went straight to the paper and pen and started writing down ideas. The first two ideas I wrote down were the ideas of the game jam managers. It was like, it's Last Stand, right? So basically, the first thing comes to mind is like the Call of Duty Last Stand, where you're the lone soldier with one bullet in your gun and you've got enemies coming at you and this is your last stand. And the point of the game jam is also that you can be creative with how you interpret the theme. The other example they gave was, so you're a guy in an office and you're glued to your chair, right? And basically you need to stand and you cannot. This is your last stand and you manage to stand up somehow at some point after you pass some obstacle, probably, I don't know. And from there I started throwing ideas. Like one of them was using the word last stand as if like you never stand, so you're constantly falling in the game or something like that. Free falling game without standing at any point. Maybe sitting game could have been also a funny idea. Anyway, I decided to go with something different, also play of words, but pretty ambitious, I would say. So I decided to do a multi-level game, which is very ambitious for a guy who never made a game by himself. So my game is called Last Stand Awakening, and it's gonna be about helping objects, or in my game they are like lively, they have life, they're objects but they have life, stand up and awaken, basically. So I decided to do a multi-level game where it gets increasingly harder and sort of more interesting the more you progress. So the first level is going to be very easy, just to understand what the game is about. Every level is going to have like a boss, which means it's basically an object that you help stand. You help it stand. So the first level is going to be the easiest. It's going to be a roly-poly doll. I'm not sure if everyone knows what this means, but it's basically a doll that stands up by itself. It's going to be blocked by some object, and the protagonist is going to have to traverse through a room. It's going to be like a Toy Story kind of thing, where the room is a toy room of some kid, and the main protagonist is the size of the dolls, and then he reaches the roly-poly doll, helps like remove the blockade from it, and it stands up by itself. And the roly-poly is gonna maybe say something about the world that the protagonist found himself in, and something maybe for the next level. After the roly-poly stands up, basically the character is teleported to the next level. The next level is gonna be a bit darker. It's gonna be an attic. It's going to be a dark attic with like spider web and the moonlight shining from the small window from outside. And in the same way, there's also going to be enemies in this level. Talking about the progression system and getting the difficulty getting increasingly harder. So there's going to be spider enemies, also a model that I found online. Hopefully I'm going to be able to somehow implement it in the game. I think I'm not gonna go too much into it, but animation-wise, I'm probably gonna be stuck. Although I think this model is supposed to come with animations. I'm not sure how it's gonna work with Unreal Engine, but we're gonna see. Worst case scenario, it's gonna be like stationary spiders moving around, so that's not so bad. So basically, spiders, attic, dark, platforming, and the protagonist has to reach an object. Now, I haven't decided which object. I've got two main options that I'm checking out, either a chair or a bicycle. Either of them is going to be missing a part. For example, the chair is going to be missing a leg, and then the character has to find it, bring it to the chair, put it on, and then help the chair stand up, right? It's the last stand of the chair. Or it's gonna be finding like the wheel of the bicycle. If it's a bicycle, then the character is gonna have to find the tire, right? Not the wheel, the tire, and then bring the tire or 2 tires, and then help the bicycle stand up. This bicycle or the chair are gonna come to life and then say something to the character, and then starts the next level. This level I'm gonna use assets and maybe even the map that I've already got from the CryptRaider game. And in this game, the boss is going to be a statue of a fallen knight, and the player is gonna have to bring him the knight its sword, maybe also the shield. I'm gonna see how I can implement this. And also in this game, we're gonna have enemies. We're gonna have gargoyles shooting maybe arrows, maybe some kind of acid at the player that he's gonna have to avoid. And basically, after the player acquires the shield or the sword or both, I'm gonna see how we can work with this. Basically, the player is gonna have to use them and fight the gargoyles, or use the shield to block their acid or arrows, depends on which decision I make. And if I get to this point, of course, of making the game within the time limit of the game jam. After the protagonist gives the knight its sword and shield, or just sword, whatever, the knight is gonna stand up, awaken, and the last section, the last level of the game begins. In this level, the interesting part is actually the player is gonna have to become part of the object that it's gonna bring stand up. Currently, the plan is the boss is gonna be a doll, a robot doll, and the protagonist is gonna either find out that he himself is a robot, or either something like that. It's gonna have to give basically his life, or his heart, or his body, so that the final object can stand up and make it basically the protagonist's last stand this time. And so that's the basic idea. I hope you guys liked hearing about this. And again, let me know if you want me to get more into details about the process itself of how I imported the character, how I sort of self-learned this in 2 days. I can explain the differences between, for example, how it felt when I got the materials from the instructor, as opposed to finding the materials by myself and trying to implement them into the Unreal Engine. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you very much. Yeah.